Hello, welcome to this episode of the Mayhem Lab. In this episode, I wanted to look at implantable RFID chips. So what is RFID? So RFID is radio frequency identification. So RFID is a generic term that we use to talk about anything, any device that can be used to read information from a tag from a distance using radio frequencies, right? So over the airwaves. These RFID tags are actually used throughout all kinds of different industries. One of the most common things that you may have seen is little white plastic cards that you carry around to get access into your office building, right? This uses HID. HID is a brand name of a manufacturer that makes these door locks, and that uses RFID technology. So it's not new technology. It's been around for a very long time. In fact, I think somewhere back in the 40s, if I'm not mistaken, it was invented. It's used in warehouses. It's used in tracking your pets. It's used all over the place. Walmart uses it quite a bit to track inventory coming in and out of their stores. The other part of RFID, well, I should say RFID is split into several different bands, several different frequencies. We're going to look at low frequency and high frequency, and also ultra high frequency. But today I specifically focus on low frequency and high frequency. Low frequency working down towards 120 to 135 kilohertz. Specifically, I think the HID runs at 125 kilohertz, if I'm not mistaken, and high frequency is up towards 13.56 megahertz, and that's where NFC lives. So NFC stands, or near field communication is what NFC stands for. And then you have the ultra high frequency band, which works up towards 856 to 960 megahertz. That's used for different kinds of radio frequency tags that run at a much higher, longer distance. So your low frequency, high frequency tags usually have a read distance of a few feet. My experience is usually a couple of inches, quite honestly. If you think about your plastic card, how close do you actually need to get to that door to scan in every morning, right? You can't scan in a few feet away. You can scan in usually a couple inches. Now, this obviously take into account the size of the reader, the power of the reader, things like that. Hopefully in future videos, that's actually some of the experiments that I want to do, set up here and see what we can get for usable range. So implantable technology. So when we start looking at implants, what does an RFID implant chip look like? If anyone's ever seen one of those before. But what we've got is one set up here. So this is one that's actually used, is actually for animal implantation. So this is not fit for human implantation, and clearly it's not sterile anymore because I took it out of the syringe. But what we have is the syringe to have that injected into us, right? And then we have the chip itself. And then a quarter for scale. But the chip itself is approximately 2 millimeters in diameter by about, I believe this one is 12 millimeters long. So it's a pretty standard chip. They can range up to 16 millimeters long. They do get a little bit thicker as well as far as diameter goes, depending on the technology that's inside of them. But yeah, that's basically what the chip is. If we take a little bit of a closer look at it, here's one under a microscope. So you can see that the chip itself, well, actually I shouldn't say that. The chip itself is actually down here in this black area. This is sort of, the chip is buried inside of there. There's a, I'm not quite 100% sure what that core is made out of. But that is what the antenna is wrapped around. So that copper wire that you see right there is the antenna, and then that feeds the chip down into the backside. So again, they're pretty small, pretty easy to implant. I've done a couple implants myself. I've actually done implants on myself, so it's not overly difficult. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to do a quick introduction to RFID and RFID implants. In the next video, I want to look at some of the implants and the procedures that I've had done. So hopefully you found this interesting and informative, and we're definitely going to be digging into this deeper. So this is a part of my research that I'm working on is RFID, NFC tags. This is sort of where I'm starting. So hopefully we're going to go further on this. This is sort of the 101 chapter of the research. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of the Mayhem Lab. If you've enjoyed this video, please click like, and we will produce more videos like this one. Also, please consider clicking subscribe so you don't miss our latest content.